I double muted us. I can't even come in all happy and... No, I can do it. I can find it in me. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the LJL, officially unofficial cast coverage of the LJL Pro League. I am your host, Alex, otherwise known as Lexi by Must1, and I'm joined, of course, by the glamorous man himself, Sam, otherwise known as Initialize Hapgood. Sir, fourth game of the day. 4 games down. Yes. Almost.
Whoa,
once this is done.
we're 25% of the way there. I mean, I can't quite.
More like 33. Yet. More like 33.
Maybe just call it this. Maybe just call it this Bon, rather than Bon Jovi. He's not going to go for it. All right.
Burning Core face off against AXIZ. Burning Core looked rather strong in recovering from an early, slight, okay to meh. Early game, but then were able to kind of take the game by storm. And yes, it took them a few Barons, but let's be real. I never thought that they weren't in the strongest spot and that they had things under control. AXIZ, though, upset Sengoku Gaming in arguably the biggest surprise so far that we've seen.
Yeah, 0-8 versus 6-2, and the 0-8 comes out on top. Goliath beats David. We've been over all that jazz already. And the thing is, it wasn't even like AXIZ played badly. Like, they looked clean, man. Like, it was a good comp, played well, with a good sense of where they wanted to be on the map, which we've not seen in a while. It got a little dicey in the late game. It wasn't closed out as quickly as it could have been, but that was a good win from AXIZ, and obviously, this is a revamped roster. This is a rejuvenated team that's come out after the 3 weeks break, looking a lot more cohesive. I think they've got more of a shot here against Burning Core than they have at any other point in this split, by far.
Now, let's recap when they originally played against Burning Core. Last time, it was 3 kills for AXIZ, 13 for Burning Core. It was a 30-minute, arguably, stomp. Once went 8-0-4 on Echo, I believe you'll recall, Mr. Initial.
Yes, I do. And once his champion pool has found itself one champion deeper as well, Kha'Zix coming out and looking pretty solid in the hands of our premier carry jungler, outside of Boogie, of course.
Obviously.
But you know, the fact that there is another champion you have to consider versus this team, particularly from the jungle, when like before it was like, okay, we buy in Echo, Graves, Kindred, we're kind of golden. The once is kind of shy on champions. You add a 4th in, and things suddenly start looking a lot dicier.
Initially,
that
if
is
I
good
may,
news for Burning Core.
Let me add to your point. They banned 4 champions against him. No, 3. They just banned. They did the first 3 champions and said, no ones, bad ones. He goes, bug goes splur. And that bug went splur and kind of just messed up everything. I guess he evolved more than went splur, but maybe that's evolved sound.
Yeah, and like it started off a bit rough for the Kha'Zix. Kind of like wasn't around for the first blood on the top side to blow the flash off Cog, which was nice news for the Camille. Then got caught out around the first dragon fight with a good dredge line from Nagi, but kind of hit around this 15-minute mark, and suddenly there were a couple items on this Kha'Zix. Suddenly that isolation damage was starting to really sting, and we've kind of harped on about it, but 120% AD scaling on his Q is just absurd. So much work can be done via that ability.
I totally agree with you. Kha'Zix and Once just overthrew the game, especially in that late game where he was just able to pick off Cog in random spots and was just a threat everywhere. The official stream is highlighting it, and I want to agree with them hugely. This support matchup might be one of the biggest ones we're seeing today, partly due to the fact of how good these 2 support players are. However, they're both playing on teams that haven't done the best so far in the league, but they've performed very well and above what expectations that you would put on a supports at this level.
Yeah, and of course, Corporal stats aren't anywhere near as flattering as Proud. 6.2 KDA to the 1.1 is a bit rough, but you have also got to remember that until the last game, AXIZ were pretty definitively 0-8 and dead last in the league, where we saw a lot of good stuff out of Burning Core. And the eye test for Corporal has always largely impressed us. And out of the back of that last game, where he had a pretty solid game on, I believe it was the Bard if I remember correctly.
It was, yes.
Yeah, with some good tempered fates, particularly to save the Nexus turrets at the end and turn around what was nearly a dangerous moment for them at the end of the game. There is room for both of these playmaking support players to try and bring the game into their favor, especially when both their AD carries are necessarily the stars of their team.
Would definitely agree with you on that. So, I believe we're going into the pick and ban phase, so would you mind transitioning us over?
Indeed, dear Lexi, the host role for Master Swan has ended. He will now take on the role of the color caster, and we are into pick and ban. Burning Core on the blue side this time around, and of course it is still Ray Farkey, Want, Yu-Gi-Oh, Yuhi, and Proud on that roster.
Oh, and for AXIZ, it's Unyan in that top lane, Hogla in the jungle, Gadiadu in the mid lane, Day One as their carry, and Corporal as their support.
And there's a few bans coming in, and some notable ones, namely the Zoe away from Gadiadu, the Set away from Hoglet. Both looked pretty stellar in the last game, and Hoglet looked good on the Set. Will he look good on something else is the question. It's been a bit of a rough split for the jungler thus far, trying to find an effective champion pool. Twisted Fate will be the last ban, is a massive priority around the globe. Just waiting on AXIZ last ban. They will go towards the Karma. But that does leave a Felios first pick available, and it is Yuhi's preferred champion.
Syndra's also up.
If this is a first pick Alawi, I will be in love with Burning Core forever.
I mean,
but I doubt it.
I doubt it. It has to be a Felios here or the Ashe. I mean, I don't mind either, honestly. I think it's perfectly fine. I think also, interestingly enough, something I found out if you look into the stats of matches and stuff, a Felios Thresh, worst matchup, apparently, if you just look at the stats, is Kai'Sa. You just want to throw Kai'Sa in that bot lane.
Interesting.
Has a positive
what are the
win
stats
rate.
like on that?
60% against Aphelios worldwide, 80% against Thresh worldwide.
Interesting. I suppose you can build the magic damage on Kai, so I suppose you might be part of it. And you can just dive on top of him with the Killer Instinct, and the shield can outtrade.
It's a weird one. We're seeing a response though from AXIZ, hover at least.
They've gone towards the Volibear immediate lock-in. It is very strong. And Hoglet, when they were still looking pretty rough before the break, had gone towards Volibear looking pretty good. Is the Varus locked in? You outrange the Ashe. It's post a lot of nerfs to the poke Varus particularly. On-hit Varus is still a viable thing, and it's kind of Ashe-like, remember. Look at the run back, man! It's Bard and Kha'Zix! It's all over again. Hoglet's Fiddlesticks is still available, but I don't know whether you want to lock that in versus Kha'Zix. Thresh is being hovered again. Corporal's win rate on the champion not especially high, but does look pretty good. Instead, thinking perhaps about a Leona, and it will be locked in. Massive amounts of engage from that bot lane now from AXIZ.
So I have to assume this is going to be a... Well, I'm not sure what Varus... Varus just doesn't work with this comp... It's fine.
I mean, it's 3 squishy people, which is great work for arrows. You don't have a tank that's going to be shrugging off those. So, I mean, even if it is nerfed, I mean, there's still room to do that. And on-hit Varus is, a pretty viable champion still.
On-hit makes more sense, but this isn't an on-hit Varus that you build against, especially with Bard Kha'Zix. You build Poke now, but Poke's been heavily hurt. Why would you not just pick a Felios?
Maybe because you're afraid of the range and just the fact that you do get deleted. And we saw kind of like the magic damage problem that Aphelios faced versus something like the LeBlanc in the last game. And just thinking, okay, Varus is a bit safe to sit a little bit further away. It's more engage, I guess, as well, with the Chains of Corruption.
But are we saying
somebody out.
Are we saying that Day One just can't play Ezreal then as well?
I mean, that's a good question. He does play a good Ezreal, but I suppose Varus has more lane pressure.
But then, no. That's not the response, though, to Ashe in that spot. You're meant to...
Okay, so I will say this. Nymera is pretty against playing Ezreal into Ashe Bard. You lose the trades early on.
No. You don't know that's been locked in. I don't think picking an AD carry makes any sense either. I think you just pick the support that you can blind pick, like Thresh or Leona. Totally fine in a lot of spots.
Yeah, I can see that too.
And then you go, okay, well, we want to do Varus, so it's fine in there. And then we can also pick up the Ezreal if they don't do X, Y, and Z.
All right, let's touch in on these second phase of bans before we go any further as well. Just saying, there's the 3 top lane bans, maybe the Camille, the Jace, the Renekton, which are big picks for all three of them, for both of these top lane players, and the LeBlanc as well, away from Yu-Gi-Oh, who did have a great game on that last time around.
It's also a Galio pocket pick.
It is, but it means that Guerrero has instead gone towards the Azir, and LeBlanc has been played into Azir ad infinitum for many moons. Of course, Corki is still available, and that's the other one of those matchups that people have kind of raised. This would be some old school C9 come Fnatic tech of the Veigar into the Azir. Can work out pretty well.
It's not terrible, especially that box really does help ganks in a lot of spots. But okay, there we go. There's the Galio. As you already mentioned, the combo that you get with Galio. With the Kha'Zix jumps, Hero's entrance in, wombo combo, especially when Proud has already set up with a Bard ultimate, as well as Yuhi with the Ashe ult. Really good dive comp, as well as follow-up comp.
This Kha'Zix is gonna... Oh, well, welcome back.
Bugger. It's happening.
Alright, so... We've seen it so many times, and the bugger is in there. Thank you, Corporal, for the Evelyn hover.
Thank you.
If you do it, I love you, man. Go on, do it. Don't do me like this.
Oh, the Nautilus! Oh, that's a call out.
Instead, they're looking at the Henon, I think, which would make a lot of sense, and that is all the CC ever from AXIZ right now, and Kha'Zix needs to be really careful about how he plays team fights, I think, because every single one of AXIZ champions can make him kind of really suffer if he just ends up with CC to the face.
However, on the opposite side, if Rayfarki can have a good game on this Darius for once in his life, because we're yet to see a good one so far in 2020, really. Like a really, really good Darius game.
Yeah.
If he can have a good one now, it's a pretty good time to have it. It's a pretty good time to have it. Puts AXIZ down. You want a team like AXIZ to be away from you. You don't want them to have this ray of hope that they might come back in playoffs. And that's a team you might have to do your first round best of 5 against. No, that's not a team you want to have to do that against, especially if AXIZ are starting to power up.
I agree. Rayfarki's run for the Ghost on the Darius too, which has of course been changed and relatively buffed in recent patches. Just like if you get the resets and Darius gets resets, you get to keep that speed buff off, and that's quite important. Of course, the other thing though is if Darius can get kited, and there are a lot of ways to stun him in place, maybe he's going to struggle. Does offer some frontline, though, for the side of Burning Core. And, of course, Darius plus Kha'Zix in the side lane can make Kennen feel really sad.
They can. They do have to find that advantage. And once and Rayfarki are definitely the kind of players that are going to find that. Hoglet on this Volibear previously hasn't impressed us. If anything, it's actually...
I mean, he's found good early. It's the one champion I felt that he was getting something done early, but it was the only one. And even then he was like, I've got a kill and a assist, and then the game falls apart. So, impress is relative.
Sure. I agree with you on that one. Stats, again, interesting team stats. I mean, AXIZ, it's not surprising that they're falling close to the bottom with how their games have gone, but importantly, not really bottom overall. That is more of a, sadly, a Rascal Jester thing.
Yeah, I mean, the one that kind of raises my eyebrows a little bit, though, is that DPM number being down at 8th, and that is a fairly significant difference in DPM, and that probably speaks a lot to where AXIZ's problems was, namely that they just didn't have people who could carry. And hopefully after game 1 we can see that differently. I suppose we haven't really talked about who we're favouring in this matchup, Lexi, having seen the drafts. Who are you kind of giving the nod to in this game?
I do... It's so weird to judge AXIZ at the moment, because prior to this...
Does the one game give you hope?
The one game kind of gives me hope, and this is Sengoku. Like, they won't just roll over. And AXIZ have got a pretty decent comp into Kha'Zix. And we saw Once carry. If Once doesn't get that opportunity, a shutdown Kha'Zix, even with these buffs, still falls off. And I kind of hope that AXIZ can do something, but I am still going to side with Burning Core.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think I prefer AXIZ's team comp.
Yep.
I think. I prefer Burning Core's players right now, and I think, yes, it's a hard game to pull off a Kha'Zix, I reckon. But having said that, if I was going to trust someone in the LJL with a Kha'Zix to just hard smurf on mid-game, it probably would be once. Sure, he might int every other game, but the game where he gets it, it's going to look damn good.
Yeah, it's going to look really good. We saw his last game. He just found edges and advantages in multiple different spots and just pulled ahead. Even when Hachimechi wasn't dying, 3-0-4, once was 5-1-1, still was finding edges, was finding ways to get more CS, was everywhere, and credit where credit's due. Once definitely was a very critical member in their victory over the Jesters. Moving forward, that could definitely be a thing in this game, especially when you think about the jungler that he's against, specifically Hogla and specifically that Volibear.
Yes, exactly. And we kind of saw the early game last time. Volibear got a lot more done. Kha'Zix isn't the best ganker. He doesn't really bring a lot of his own CC. He needs a lot of setup. Could use an item or two with like level 6 for one of those evolutions to really find a lot of work. But once it hit that mid game, once Kha'Zix got his items, once he started being able to find those 1v1 duels, it started turning around. And we know that AXIZ mid game has been shaky pretty much through the year. So I'll be curious to see how this one plays out. Uinyan back on another team fight AP carry in the top side though gives me a bit of hope. And day one on another pick that can just fire out an ultimate and be useful is also good news down that bot side, I think. Curious to see how it plays out.
Okay, so important things of note. First and foremost, it's to see which runes and masteries we've gone for. Lethal tempo on this Varus makes sense. I don't think you're going to be able to get much more, and I think that large amount of attack speed that you're going to be able to get with lethal tempo is far more for trading purposes, to be able to get into fights and out of fights, into spots, out of spots. It makes sense, and I don't think you can do what you used to do. That does mean we are playing on hit Varus this game.
Yeah, it does likely mean that. We've seen one or two lethal tempo poke Varus builds. The AXIZ fan group is back. You've inspired them, and this is what has happened. Wow. Welcome back, oh AXIZ faithful. Kobe will be channeled here. I never doubted them. That's a lie, I very much did. But alas, we're into game, and AXIZ have got a bit of narwhal pride going on. The unicorn of the ocean definitely looking pretty damn good in the first game of the day. AI bot, though, pretty serious advantage over the Burning Core off the draft.
That's interesting. You and me both did give it to Burning Core, but part of that wasn't due to the champions. It was far more due to the players, which AI bot doesn't take a hit in. It just looks at the champions. Now, the important thing to note is obviously Proud is on Bard, Yuhi is on this Ashe, and
both got massive win rates.
Exactly, and Once is also playing Kha'Zix, again a huge win rate champ. And Galio, I believe, is pretty net neutral, so doesn't affect you. No one plays Darius outside of Rayfarki, so that's going to be undetermined, so it'll help as well.
You know, I'm just going to do a bit of a quick search to find out, because I actually wonder whether Galio's got pretty damn good stats in the LJL, so I was going to just think about that one briefly.
So does the AI bot take into account all regions or just the LJL? Because I thought it was all regions. That's why it had it.
That's a good question. It's a good question. I'll have a look at Galio's win rate right now. He's at a... Yeah, no, he is pretty much dead even. You're absolutely right. There you go. I wonder whether... Well, if it's globally, that's probably true. If it's just LJL, I'm pretty sure with the likes of Ace really indexing into it, might skew those stats a little.
But then Pink has also played it a few times and hasn't got a brilliant win rate, so it brings it down a little bit. Ace props it up, Pink brings it down a bit. We all equal it out together as a team. Nothing special jungle path. It's actually just mirrored. They've actually mirrored each other. They've just ended up on the opposite sides, and
yeah, Once chasing around the Scuttle Crab in that bot side. Uinyan with the range advantage, shoving Rayfarki under tower. Nothing much to be found there. Day one does take a Cosmic Binding, but that's a Zenith Blade back in. Proud does get through the magical journey, though. That takes a lot of his health bar in trade, but he has got those health shrines to allow himself to get top back up after the trade came through.
Yeah, I was really well done by Corporal there, finding the spot there for onto Proud, and knowing that if they're going to get a kill at this moment in time, it's going to be on that Proud, because Bards are so weak early on.
Well, they kind of are if you can catch them. Otherwise, they just do loads of damage from outer range, slow you down, slap you with meeps, and it's really sad. But wait, once and Hoglet about to meet into each other with an attempted gank, but once with a well-timed counterattack and a fantastic Cosmic Binding does a lot of work. No summoners are burnt, though, and Hoglet gets to walk away. That got a little bit scary for the volley bear there.
It did. It was also amusing as anything to watch, because you got to see both junglers awkwardly see each other, look at each other, and go, "Oh, well, you had the same idea as me. Well, I'm glad we thought alike. Let's awkwardly hit each other and then run off. Yes, I think that's a good idea too, sir. Yes. Let's keep going." Important to note, once hasn't gone back, Hoglet has gone back, and Hoglet is still going to be looking for these picks.
Another Zenith Blade, and that's going to let Yuhi through the magical journey, but Hoglet now around the other side. That piercing arrow did miss, wasn't quite timed out. Sky Splitter comes down, and you can tell where Hoglet's wanting to play this game, just really indexing to punishing this Ashe Bard lane that's been really high priority pretty much everywhere in the world.
Yeah, it's arguably maybe the best lane at the moment in the bot lane. It's got a lot of engage, disengage. Also, both the champions are maybe the strongest in their respected role. That's at least to be contended. So
Ashe is at like 53% globally, just in solo queue. She's just really strong.
Yeah, and it's great because she's a bot laner that, one, is relatively easy to play in a lot of spots, but she offers a lot of utility. You don't have to be the explicit carry. You can, in certain compositions, be the main carry. Oh, shuffle.
Oh, there's the shuffle. It's come on through. That's a flash out, but Hoglet's coming in. The Thundering Smash comes down. Unio does manage to escape, but has to bone flash and heal to get out. Of course, has the summoner spellbook, so will have another summoner available to him, but that's a bit of a rough place to be in.
I was trying to figure out how he was so fast until I saw the heal, and I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, plus Nimbus Cloak, and that is a speedy boy.
Very speedy boy, but in all fairness, he did have to drop a lot on that, and Gadiadu can do that combo again in about 45 to 50 seconds from now, which Yu-Gi-Oh! Is going to be aware of, and it's going to be a really awkward fight for the next, call it 5 minutes, till that flashes up.
Yeah, but what it does do is buy a lot of space for Gadiadu, who's already winning this matchup pretty damn hard. We saw a great game from Yu-Gi-Oh! In the last game. It's not the easiest matchup for Galio, this one, just because, yes, you have the magic damage shield, but it's range versus melee, and it's bloody Azir. Like, he throws soldiers at you and pokes you from ages away, and you feel sad. It's the same reason Corki into Galio is pretty good. Are seeing Burning Core, though, wander into this jungle, try and put down some vision, especially out with this first dragon being looking to be started. Gariado and Hoglet looking to just remove the vision that was placed pretty much straight away. They're not going to take out that pink ward as yet, but you can see Proud on the mini-map clearing out the pink ward that was in the dragon pit. Hoglet will clear out that pink ward. Gariado will clean out the other. Oh, no, he won't. They do ping it out. They know it's warded, and I suspect someone will go over there to clean that up at some point in the future. But Hoglet did want to just make sure, with the pathing and the efficiency, to start up this Drake very, very early on. Day one will roam up. They had the push in bot, and they're going to start this off. Kha'Zix is over the back of the wall. Hawk shotted out. This could be the contest, and it is going to be. But the dragon's already gone now. Burning Core thinking about looking for the engage. They're going through the magical journey, looking for the stun. That is the leap in that forces the flash out from day one. But dragon is secured, and no kills found by Burning Core in response.
So do you want to know why they didn't destroy those wards earlier on? Do you want to know why? It's the mental game. They're trying to get in the head. They're trying to go like, we know you know. We're going to show you
We don't care.
We're going to take this blue buff in front of you. We're going to let you know that we know it's here. Then we're going to take Dragon. You can't do anything about it. And talking about can't do anything about it, Ray Farkey has just AFK farmed to equal, if anything, advantage in this top lane. What is going on?
I think Uinyan's gonna be able to pick up the wave as it crashes into tower. He didn't want to burn teleport, so Ray Fucky gets a shove out and even up the CS a bit there. But yes, you're right, has managed to pick himself up to fairly even there. I suppose the problem is once the level 6 mark hits for Darius, you're going to be really afraid. But that is now the cleanse burn from you, but the stun coming in. Flash for the magical journey. We're going through. Oh, it's going through 1v3. Oh, once is there. Oh, first blood to the Kha'Zix with another stellar counter gank. He's been around this bot side to counter gank multiple times now, and this time it pays off.
I was waiting to... Oh, God, Once is still hungry. Okay. No, I think I can talk. I think it's fine. Hoglet... Do I say return to form in disappointing, like, dad tone? Do I go... Hoglet.
Got greedy for that.
Why?
And the thing is, it looked really good. He had no health, no flash, no cleanse. The exhaust had been burned. But Once was there.
Yeah, Once was there to reply back, and the reply was given, and also the kill was given to Once. Only two out of the three were good for it, and Yuhi wasn't the one to get it this time. It was for Once, and that's just going to scale him up even further. That jungle item for him also coming out huge when it comes into it, because that does just give him so much more damage. That warrior enchantment onto his jungle item, so huge. Let's see where he can take it from here as they look at this. Well, it's Shelly at the moment.
Yeah, they're starting up this Rift Herald. There is a pink ward in the back of the pit, so AXIZ know what's going on. And they're going to immediately hard shove bot lane to try and trade. They don't want to contest the turret. Proud is looking to try and come and tempered fate that turret, but has to flash away. It's going to get thundering smashed anyway. They're just going right on him. He's getting shuffled out of the heroic entrance and falls to Corporal. Yeah, screw that KDA, says Corporal, having looked at those pre-game screens that the official stream was having. Have it that one. Once we'll take the Rift out and look to invade, but there's no red buff to be found. We'll probably get to steal away some Krugs if he decides to hop over the wall.
Well deserved. Corporal got the Drake. He actually was the one that secured it. He also now just got a kill. I think Corporal's definitely padding his stats. I think he already feels like his team's going to win this one, and he's just like making sure he looks good so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's double flash burn for Gariaru and for Corporal, which is a bit sad, but they do get the kill.
Forget about that. No, not important. Not important.
Uenyan has to be very afraid right now. There is a dive being threatened, but Uenyan thus far has managed to clean the wave. Once coming in behind, there is the evolved camouflage looking for that. There is the adaptive cloaking, not burn, just the leap for now. Look for the slicing maelstrom, but no, not going to use it. Just a bit of low HP. Thought about looking in for it, but if the apprehend doesn't land, Uenyan gets to just lightning dash around and be very happy with himself.
Yeah.
Clears out the wave and continues to play weak side just happily. Nearly cashed in that cull as well, which will be a big deal.
Yeah, and I mean, the only thing that's really of note here in this gold lead that AXIZ have is it's mostly on to Gariadu at the moment, who has about a 1k gold lead at the moment over
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah, almost their whole gold lead that they've currently got is mostly on Gariadu. And part of it is also on day one for about 500. But it's really this 1k gold lead that Gariadu's got. And that's going to be showing in these items. That's why he just has a Fiendish Codex and a Lost Chapter, instead of just having a Lost Chapter Doran's Ring standard setup.
Some critical things in as well, namely that Uenyan has gone back to complete the Proto Belt. Didn't wait around for the Cull Clash. Just went, screw it, I want that Proto Belt now. Hasn't got teleport right now, has burned it to get back to lane, I'm assuming. And has got the barrier, but the fact is a team fight breaking out, say, around this Infernal Drake in a few moments would make for a mighty, mighty fine time for a Proto Belt Flash and Slicing Maelstrom combo.
I'm going to ask the game nicely. Can we have a different Rift? Please.
Please. That would be really lovely.
We've had 3 of the same Rift so far.
Hoglet getting jumped on, but not a huge amount of damage to be found as yet. It is going to be started up, is this Drake by Once. AXIZ kind of around, Hoglet hovering, thinking about going for the steal, but it would be really risky, and with Uenyan not available, the Sky Splitter was thrown out to try and steal it away, but not to be found. Does leave Uenyan free to push in for a turret plate on the top side, but that will be the trade. 1 for 1 of the Drakes, and buddy, it's happened again. No, actually, wait. It's Mountain Drift! We're saved! 4th time lucky. It's not 3rd time's a charm, but that is a fabulous solar flare! Proud's in so much trouble. That's going to be Hoglet, though, fighting off against Once. That is a good flash out of the Kha'Zix to escape. The Rift Herald does come through, and the charge comes out, but a dead Ashe is a kill for Gariaru. What a fabulous response to the attempted play from Burning Core, who get stunned in place as they try to go for that bot tier 1. And now AXIZ get free reign to shove in themselves down here.
Would have. Sadly, Yu-Gi-Oh was here to defend.
Yeah, that's true.
Prevent that from happening. I would agree they would definitely push onto it. Important to note, with that Rift Herald, they did happen to secure up. This was beautiful.
Beautiful.
Though. So well played. The problem was Hoglot wasn't actually right next to them to actually fully follow up and decided to ult really late. Gadiadu, I don't know what kind of shuffle that was. I mean, you still killed Yuhi, I guess, but...
it was trying to get once who had to flash away from the shuffle.
I mean, I still don't... that was just a bit of a... in the middle of the... I think once is already gone, and then Gadiadu shuffled. Maybe there was lag. They are playing online. They're not playing...
Yeah. I mean, who else was he going to be able to shuffle there, really? Because Yuhi was already going to die, so I could sort of see trying to burn more
showing
summoners.
Off that he could shuffle, maybe.
Oh, maybe just throw some dance moves.
Yeah, he's like, well, my ult's already up again. Like, it's going to be up for the next fight. It's already up right now, so, I mean, why not? I'm just going to show off my ult. My ult has such a low cooldown. Look at me. Woo, woo, woo. I mean, it's worked. It's up. It's already up. And he's also got a Nash's Tooth.
He's up 30 CS as well. He's very, very strong. Proud. And Yuhi trying to find some work into this sort of tri-brush behind the tier 1 of AXIZ down in the bot lane, which is pretty low post that Rift Herald charge, but not much more to be found there. It is about a 1,200, 1,300 gold lead for AXIZ right now in this early game, which is great news for them, and they do scale well into team fights. They really, really do. On hit Varus plus a Azir with Kennen and Volibear and Leona for engage and frontline is pretty juicy. Once has at least got a kill, but that's the only thing they've really found right now. And I have to say, Lexi, Burning Core don't have the advantage I want to see out of them early on in this game. Darius has at least got a Trinity Force, so maybe there's room for Ray Farkey to start snowballing some of these team fights. We know he loves that champ.
It's his pocket favourite, and if he's gonna have to do it, it's what I hinted towards in that pick and ban phase. It's gonna have to be soon. Especially with that Trinity Force, it's going to help him hugely in finding in important spots and really being that frontline. Remember, they haven't done a single fight without Eunyan or Ray Farkey, meaning that sooner enough they're going to start doing it, and Ray Farkey is more than happy to now go toe-to-toe with Eunyan.
Yes, he is. Eunyan going in for aggressive trades is really not a thing he wants to do anymore, because that puts you in range for things like Decimate true damage, and Bleeding stacks, and a Noxian Guillotine that could make you feel really sad and very dead, and we've already seen enough sort of bloody massacres today. Sengoku Gaming versus Rascal Jesters, second game of the day, was just a complete bloodbath in favour of Sengoku Gaming. Thus far, this game has been a lot more staid, a lot more calm. Burning Core securing themselves the second Herald here. Didn't want to look to fight the pretty strong Darius at this point, but once again, that does leave day 1 with a lot of free time around this bot lane tier 1, and with first turret still available, he has to be pretty afraid of stepping too far forwards with Leona around. Most of the bot lane tier 1 is taken, but isn't quite secured. Proud has got that second Herald, maybe can look to find a first turret somewhere if AXIZ don't continue to shove in here. Proud still got the Tempered Fate, might look to try and stop the trade on, but no, don't decide to use it. But that's the Solar Flare in, forces the cleanse out of Yuhi. Good play from Corporal, fast cleanse from the Yuhi.
Yeah, and moving forward, this is going to be such an important part. Corporal is just able to completely zone them, force the cleanse out super early on. What does that mean moving forward? Well, in 20 seconds, this Mountain Drake's going to be up, and Burning Core are not prepared for this Mountain Drake, whereas on the opposite side, you could argue AXIZ are. The problem are, both teams, while AXIZ have that vision and the prio, they're actually going towards this top lane as well as once as well. Burning Core are having to look for a fight, but looks like AXIZ are actually going to get this fight, and vision is still going to be advantage to AXIZ until maybe Prof sees that ward? No, okay, so they've got deep vision still on Burning Core. Going to be really important moving forward. Day 1, though, has actually just got that Blade of the Ruin King. That's going to be really important moving forward. He's got item parity with this Ashe as they do start up this Baron.
Certainly do. Dragon, indeed. That is a big one. Nash's Tooth in for a 0 alongside that last chapter as we mentioned earlier, but the dragon is now being started. Uenyan has got teleport, isn't going to burn it quite yet. Thinking about doing it, it's already down to less than 2,001, trying to go in, trying to secure it. That's the Tempered Fate to prevent the immediate steal. Now Corporal will lose the Baron to Proud! Not Baron Dragon, I apologize. I got way too hyped about that one. That's a decent Emperor's Divide to buy time, buy space, but Proud in the backline alongside Once looking for damage. There's very low health bars. That Kha'Zix could destroy everything. Slicing Maelstrom will get a kill onto Yu-Gi-Oh! But now Corporal in the backline. Rayfaki running forwards and Uenyan is left for dead. It's a double to Yuhi's Ash. Proud still stamping forwards. That Rift Herald of the mid lane claimed a tower. And that's a third death for AXIZ. And Burning Core stop that fight, steal the Mountain Drake, and get mid-tier 1.
What can Proud not do? That is my question now. What can this man not do? That was insanely well played from all members of Burning Core there. They rotated around. Yu-Gi-Oh! Became the front line for the team when Rayfaki wasn't quite there. They found the moment. The Bard Ultimate coming out so late allowed so many of the members. Lucio came in so clutch there. Proud just happens to steal it. It was a bad smite by Hoglet, in all fairness. Corporal gets so low at this point, has to run away. That shuffle is purely just for zoning potential. And then what? Look at Once and Proud just on the side. So many members of AXIZ are so low. Uenyan comes in, is able to pick up Yu-Gi-Oh! But it doesn't matter because look at all these members. They're just deleting. Uenyan eats it because Yuki says, hey mate, this is actually my jungle. They get this mid turret as well as take down Corporal. Oh god, AXIZ, it was looking so good until it just wasn't.
Until it wasn't. Now Yuhi has his way to a Hurricane. Darius is on the ball with a couple assists. Once has picked himself up a second kill. It is looking a little bit rough for now, and it's not like AXIZ are out of it. It's just it's only thrown the gold lead to 500 advantage for Burning Core, but that one was a bit of a slap to the face. Uenyan only finding the one person with the Slicing Maelstrom and not a priority target, namely the Ash in particular was not found with that, and that was a little bit rough. Still, as it stands, it is now 3 turrets to 1, and the gold lead is only 700 in favor of Burning Core, but that map pressure that is gained from having all the outer turrets right now does give Burning Core a fairly sizable pressure advantage.
It really does, and an important piece of note, they also have that top turret, which you highlighted. AXIZ are nowhere near taking the top turret, which does mean Burning Core, moving forward, currently have Baron Prio. Meaning, if AXIZ ever slightly mess up a little bit, and AXIZ able to at least get a pick on Hoglet, they can just threaten a Baron and have AXIZ have to come check them, as opposed to the other way around. AXIZ want to kind of catch out the members of Burning Core. They don't want to have to walk into Burning Core. Burning Core are more than happy to just collapse onto them, as Yu-Gi-Oh! Found a little Uenyan.
Yeah, Uenyan throws the exhaust down as well, trying to get something out of it, but doesn't really get it. It's throwing the ignite down as well, trying to get something. That's a second Justice Punch. Gets the taunt, and Uenyan just gets collapsed in a 1v1. Well. Spellbook Summoners coming up clutch. That wasn't a flash, I don't believe. That was an ignite.
Yeah.
So that was exhaust ignite use for the 1v1 kill, and that will give Burning Core all the agency they need to start up this Baron. Who needs a Kha'Zix to come and help you out? You can do it just by yourself. Hoglet is around the back though, and decide not to risk it, do Burning Core, but good pick off in the side lane.
I mean, part of that is due to the fact that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is recalling. He wants to reset around by that Zonya straight up just now. And then they want to reset back around. They hadn't got complete perfect vision control. They didn't have many deep wards as well. Especially at that Tribush where it's still a pink ward for AXIZ. I think it's better for Burning Core to not get too greedy and not give the opportunity for AXIZ to potentially recover this gold deficit that now has actually almost ballooned into 1k. I know I'm saying ballooned, but it was in AXIZ's favor only about 5 minutes ago, and this turn is definitely concerning as this Mountain Dragon number 2 is coming up.
Yes, it is, and a couple stopwatches now in inventory for AXIZ, and we've seen how that's neutered Rayfaki in the past. Once leaps away from a potential engage from Corporal there. Second item in for day one as well, which will be good news for this Varus, kind of matching relative parity to Yuhi, though the BF sword advantage is a pretty big deal. Less so this far into the game, but you can also see Rayfaki heading toward what looks like a stone plate second as well to make sure he's a very beefy frontline. Once around and about trying to clear off this pink wall, but Corporal roaming forwards will dissuade the Kha'Zix from being around too much more.
I mean, it kind of tells him off, but he's still standing there. He's like, hey, no. And he's like, okay. But then he goes back to doing it anyway.
Oh, well, Burning Core are going to start up this dragon, and this is the problem when you just don't have the side lane pressure anymore with the turrets being down. Proud takes a bit of a chunk, but heals it straight back up. Uinyan is over the flank trying to find something.
Away.
Uinyan's got a really good flanking position. He's got Slicing Maelstrom and Flash. If he can find his way over the backline, that is a great Farsight ward to make sure that Uinyan is spotted. That's a Temper Fade onto Hoglet. They've got onto Corporal. They've blown him up. He's down. Uinyan's not gone in. The Empress Divide comes down, though, and that is also the Chains of Corruption, and that's a Slicing Maelstrom at the end of the fight. It finds nothing, and it's another double to Yuhi, who is having a fantastic game on this Ashe. It's third dragon over to Burning Core as well, and this game is slipping out of AXIZ fingers. They're going to roam over to this Baron, and with the Kha'Zix, with the evolved Q, and a fair amount of damage from this Blade of the Ruin King AD carry, they can destroy this Baron in short order.
They can destroy it, and these dragons are going to be so important. One, the deny of them going over to AXIZ can't be overstated. These Mountain Drakes stacking, especially now that Burning Core are threatening the Soul, in 5 minutes, it's make or break for AXIZ. They have no choice. And they've got to also, for the next 3 minutes, fight off against Burning Core, constantly pushing, constantly harassing them in every little sense. Let's watch this as this replay unfolds. Dragon gets taken pretty low. They find out Uinyan in that backline. They land a beautiful Tempered Fate, and then they just go on Corporal and make him pay for being so far up. Hoglet then has to try and do something. Ults in response, and then immediately goes golden. The problem is Uinyan can't do too much. This whole time as well, Proud and Yuji have just been zoning them off. Eventually, Uinyan does fall, and the rest of the team have to run away with the tails between their legs as the narwhals, well, their horns aren't looking very spiky today.
No, we had a lot of hope after that first game of the day, and even there's hope in this game. They're still looking more competitive than they were before the break, but this would be a pretty important one. You can see the AI vote was pretty stunned, but that's a fantastic shuffle onto Yuhi, who's going to go down. That's a shutdown onto the AD carry. Onto the backline goes down as well. Fantastic exhaust. And the Baron, again, from Burning Core, is stifled. It happened in the last game too versus the Jesters, and this one... Oh, Burning Core, you got to work on that. Ooh, Proud was looking for a little bit more, but nothing to be found. Sky Splitter comes down. Rayfaki in the side lane is going to continue to push. That was the Decimate avoided, but the turret still falls, and all the while, UGO has been split pushing in the top side as well. Gariari will clear out the wave. And only one turret gained as a result of that Baron power play, and it has reduced the gold they gained from it just down to that 800. That's got us smart for Burning Core.
Yeah, that really does smart. The only thing they do also have benefiting them is, one, it's denying the opposite side. They did get a tower, so they have at least gained some form of objective control throughout this. It's better than them just kind of playing around the Baron for the next few minutes and then giving the opportunity over to AXIZ, but it really must be stated, why was Want going in after Yuhi has already been caught? There was no reason for him to be there. He can escape as a Kha'Zix. It's very easy for him. It's just called not jumping into 4 members of AXIZ. He decided to do it, and now in 2 minutes, we're going to have a fight again.
And this was the issue we kind of called out with the Kha'Zix, namely, like, if you're in a grouped up team fight and all of the cooldowns aren't burned, it is very easy to just hold the Kha'Zix in place. And yeah, you got some damage down, but not enough to kill anybody off. And then he just gets exhausted and frozen in place and dies. Medjite is in for this Galio right now. It's also worth pointing out alongside the Zhonya, pretty damn strong. Leandries is being built towards for this Azir. Needlessly large rod in inventory for the Kennen as well, looking towards a death cap, probably third. Possibly a Spellbinder, I suppose, spell wouldn't be awful on the Kennen. Third item in for this Varus is the Infinity Edge complete. It's not done for Yuhi, who stopped off for a stopwatch, because of that last play, and that will be a difference in combat stats, especially with this Mountain Drake and Mountain Soul fight coming up at that point.
Because of how big this Mountain Drake is going to be for Burning Core throughout the rest of this game, I would actually really like them to take pots here. To willingly sacrifice a few hundred gold. Genuinely, I think it's worth it at this point if they can just put themselves as much
Just that
of a
immediate power.
spike.
Yeah, I wonder about that.
Immediate power spike. Force it in. They're not resetting. They're just going for this dragon in the next 30 seconds, and you have to hope they're going to collapse quick.
They're going for a teleport. There's going to be a 4 versus 5. That's another good tempered fate from Proud. He don't miss with those. Here comes the return teleport now. Gary is in. The flash out. That is the shuffle away from YouTube, but they engage. Still continues once over the back in the Raptor pit. That is day one just eviscerated by Ray Farkey. Gary trying to escape from the bug, but it's a triple for Darius in the backline. Make that the quadra, and once does kill the Azir. The teleport flanks work, and AXIZ were caught flat-footed. They're going to shove in to lose the next, well, the mid lane turret here. They might go for more. Hell, it's 30 seconds on Gary Arrow. They could try and end here.
Well, never doubt Ray Farkey on his Darius. All right, fine.
I'm not going to try and take it. Would be a bit of a risk. Instead, they're going to go back for the mountain. So,
well,
Ray Farkey's Darius 404. It was quiet until it really wasn't.
It was, yeah, exactly. I mean, I thought they need the immediate power spike. It doesn't matter if you're able to catch 2 members of AXIZ out while you kill the other 2 while they're in their own personal little Zhonyas that Proud gave to them. Watch this from Yu-Gi-Oh! Immediately just walks out and goes, alright lads, let's do it. Immediately teleports down so early on, where the rest of the members of AXIZ aren't prepared for this. They're like, alright, we're just positioning, getting ready. No, Tempered Fate comes down. Proud's already here. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is so ready good for them. Look at this. Immediately taunts Gariaru. And he's like, oh guys, I've had to use my shuffle really early. Ray Farkey has already killed day 1. Now he runs back, kills Corporal, and he's like, alright, who's my next one? Unyan, you're gone. Come here, Hogler. Throws the flash in. He already got the ghost going. Slams him down with a Q into the shutdown. He dunked on 4 members of AXIZ, and I wouldn't be surprised if, yeah, there we go. That's the damage graph. Only once can beat that on a Kindred. Only once can beat it on a Kindred. Feels fair.
That is pretty obscene levels of damage from the Darius, who was not denied at all in that fight. Managed to spend his time, you know, role-playing the French Revolution, or at least the Noxian one. The guillotine was out and about. Baron is spawned. Once is around. There is the one ward showing that Burning Core are attempting to bait it, though, and that's good news for AXIZ, who kind of got a problem to solve their way into back into the game here. They're down 7,000 gold, Mass Swan.
Yeah, 7,000 gold. 3.5k is over on once. 2.7k is on Ray Farkey, who is getting called out.
Wait, does get stunned in place, but it's not going to be enough right now. There's so much healing. He just won't die. Gariaru, the main DPS, is stunned in the backline. The Ash Arrow coming through as well. It's bigger once. Finds the murder onto Gariaru, but not before taking Hoglet out on the way. Wait, Gariaru does just escape, and I am made a liar, but not before the W claims it anyway. That's a golden stopwatch. That's another team fight ace for Burning Core, and that will be 2-0 on the day. Burning Core move up to 5-5, and those playoff streams, Mass One, are well and truly alive.
Well, Ray Farkey used the eternal meme of call an ambulance, but not for me. And it's all she wrote. GG. Well played. Burning Core 2-0 this week. We're going to take a very short break over here on the desk so we can regain our thoughts, think about key moments there. But in a brief moment, we'll be right back at it. See you in a moment. Hello everybody, and welcome back to the LJL Official, the unofficial coverage of Week 5 of the LJL. I am still your host, Alex, otherwise known as Sexy Goodbye Master One, and of course I'm joined by my co-host here, Sam, otherwise known as Initialize Hapgood, the myth, the man, the legend himself. Initialize, we just witnessed Burning Core going 2-0 this week, and they had two interesting games, kind of went differently how they actually unfolded, but the outcome was the same. AXIZ, I would like to gain your perspective on and how the game truly went.
Yeah, I mean, it was another relatively good start for AXIZ. Yeah. They came out to an early gold lead. The early attempt bot didn't quite work out. Once was around to counter gank a little bit, kind of Hoglet falling for first blood, which was a little rough, but the turnaround when the Rift Herald was first summoned down bot lane was great. And Gariaru in mid came out to a very significant personal lead in the mid lane, and it was looking pretty good for Gariaru and the rest of AXIZ come that mid game. But then we started seeing some dragon fights for Mountain Drakes, and yes, things started getting a little bit out of hand.
Yeah, we were seeing these Drakes were slowly going in the advantage. We saw Corporal happen to steal one of them, but then Proud wanted to play that game as well and was able to grab and secure assistance for the rest of Burning Core. And it's weird to say, the game was kind of even until the last Dragon fight. It was really either team's game to a degree.
Yeah, and the team fight just went the way of Burning Core, and for all that we've kind of lambasted Yuhi for poor Ashe team fighting, this game he played it really well, came out with a really good KDA, put some good damage out, and, you know, also bluntly, on the other side, Unyan had a fairly underwhelming cannon game. There was no major slicing Maelstrom. Some of the dragon fights he went in, proto-belted in, caught just the Galio and got the kill, and then got 4 members killed at the return as Burning Core just re-engaged. And towards the late game as well, we finally started to see some pretty stellar work out of the likes of Rayfaki too, which started making...
I mean, important thing of note there is Rayfaki just wasn't ever shut down. He was never denied anything really in his lane. Yes, he was down a little bit of CS in the early game, but it really didn't affect him. And at one point, I think before 10 minutes, we saw that he was at parity with Kennen. That's not meant to happen. He was like 75 CS to like 73 because he was able to crash the lane into Kennen. He had a slight advantage. That's not meant to happen against Kennen. You're meant to have a horrible time in lane. You're meant to be down in CS. Unyan didn't shut him down, and Rayfaki was 0-4 and then got a quadra kill.
Oh, yes.
But before that happened, he did happen to beat a certain, they did happen to get a certain dragon, which led into that fight prior to him getting that quadra kill and a Baron.
Yeah, and I do kind of want to, if it's possible, if we can take our eye back a little bit before a number of these fights as well, because the first dragon that went wrong for AXIZ, where they got turned around on after a really good Tempered Fate, bought a lot of time, and they got a lot of kills at the end of it, it led to all 3 outer towers falling for AXIZ, and suddenly they never had lane pressure ever again, and so they were then down in vision, they were permanently getting flanked, they were struggling to find their way into river, and then were like always kind of being scouted out and in the dark about where Burning Core was. And pretty much after that point, Burning Core, even if they didn't have the gold lead, had the map pressure, and we saw that really play out just in the setups for a number of these objectives.
Yeah, it was hugely important. Burning Core then were just able to snowball this game hugely in their momentum. After getting that first one, they were able to get 3. They got priority. They then were able to secure another dragon. Not much contention that time. The second time around, it wasn't too much contention. Though they did try and contend it a little bit after, it fell apart horribly. And, well, after that, they got the soul. They had a Baron that... Actually, let's talk about that Baron, if we don't mind. I want to round this up quickly, as we do want to go a break, because we have got a very exciting game after this one. Do. But let's quickly talk about that Baron, as it did give AXIZ a bit of hope, as 2 members of Burning Core did fall. And I want to ask you, do you think that's a fault that other teams might be able to find a way back into a game of?
Burning Core have been indexing into some 1-3-1 comps as of the last couple games, and the 3 in the mid lane have been caught 2 games in a row. Sure, they've turned around in later Baron fights, but yes, potentially is the answer to that. And of course, there were good tools to get onto the 3, but even so, just need to be a bit aware.
Yeah. Moving on forward, we are going to have a very quick break here over at the desk as we have got our match of the week.
I am so excited.
And it's crazy, it might also be the match of Super Week. This early on Initialize, we're going to be having V3 Esports face off against Detonation Focus Me. Will the streak be allowed for V3, or will Detonation Focus Me deny that opportunity? Find out in a moment and after this break.